Whenever we hear the word taxes, we kind of think of it as this complicated, heavy burden, right? But what if we looked at it differently? Let's reframe it. Think of our national tax code as the official rule book for the country's economy. It's the rules of the game we're all playing. So let's start with a really basic question. What are the actual rules for money here in the Philippines? How does the government get the funds it needs to, run everything? Well, the answer is pretty much all in this one huge document, the National Internal Revenue Code, or the NIRC. This thing is the foundation. It lays out all the different kinds of taxes, what we need to do as taxpayers, and it defines the powers of the government's tax agency. Okay, so let's crack open this rule book. Now, every single game needs a referee, right? Someone to make sure everyone's playing fair. And in the game of taxes, that referee is the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or as we all know it, the BIR. So what does the BIR actually do? Well, they have 5 main jobs. They figure out and collect all the taxes. They enforce the laws in the NIRC. If a rule is a little confusing, they issue rulings to clarify it. They can check our accounts to make sure everything's correct. And yeah, if you break the rules, they're the ones who impose the penalties. They're there to keep the playing field level for everyone. All right, let's get into the tax that probably affects most of us the most directly. And that's the tax on what you earn. We're talking about income tax, and this applies to both you and me as individuals and to companies. Now, this table might look a little intimidating, but the idea behind it, thanks to the train law, is pretty cool. Check it out. If you earn 250,000 pesos a year or less, you pay 0 income tax. Nothing. But as your income goes up, your tax rate goes up too. It's what we call a progressive system. It just means the more you make, the higher percentage you pay on the amount over each level. Okay, charts and numbers can make your head spin. So let's make this super real. Let's meet Juan. He has a good year and earns 1 million pesos. So how much tax does he actually have to pay? First things first, we find where Juan's salary fits in that table. He's in the bracket that goes from 800,000 to 2 million pesos. The rule for that bracket says he pays a flat base amount of 102,500 pesos right off the bat. But we're not done yet. He also has to pay 25% on the part of his income that's above the 800,000 peso mark. So since he earns 1 million, that's an excess of 200,000 pesos. 25% of that is an extra 50,000 pesos. And now we just add it up. You take that base tax, add the extra amount, and voila! Juan's total annual income tax is 152,500 pesos. See? Once you break it down step by step, it's not so scary after all. Okay, so that's individuals. What about businesses? Well, the CREATE law updated the rules here to really help the economy. Most regular corporations pay a 25% income tax. But, and this is a big but, to help out smaller businesses, which are really the backbone of our economy, they get a break. If their net income is 5 million pesos or less, and their assets are under 100 million, they only pay a 20% rate. Tax isn't just about what you earn. It's also about what you spend. Let's shift gears and look at consumption taxes, starting with the one you see literally almost every day, VAT. Yep, this is the number, 12%. This is the value-added tax, or VAT. It's that little extra charge added to most goods and services you buy in the country. You've definitely seen it on your receipts. So how does this whole VAT thing actually work for a business? Okay, picture a coffee shop. When they sell you a cup of coffee, they charge you what's called output VAT. But remember, they also paid VAT when they bought their supplies, the coffee beans, the milk. That's their input VAT. So at the end of the month, they just subtract the input VAT they paid from all the output VAT they collected. Whatever's left over, that's what they send to the BIR. The tax code also shows up during some of life's biggest moments. Let's quickly touch on taxes that are tied to transferring major assets, like when someone inherits property or receives a really big gift. When a person passes away and their property moves to their heirs, that's subject to estate tax. Now, the train law made this so much simpler. It's now just one single, flat rate of 6% on the net value of everything left behind. And what if you give a huge gift to someone while you're still alive? Well, that's covered by donor's tax. And for any gift that's worth more than 250,000 pesos in a year, the tax rate is, you guessed it, the exact same 6%. Keeping these two rates identical was a huge simplification from the train law, making these rules way easier to understand and follow. Okay, so we've covered the rules of the game. Now for what might be the most important part. how do we actually play fair? Let's talk about what it means to be tax compliant.
Honestly, being a good taxpayer just boils down to a few key things. You've got to file on time. We all know that dreaded April 15 deadline. Make sure you're using the correct forms. Pay the right amount, of course. And for businesses, this is huge. Always, always issue official receipts.
And you have to remember, this rulebook is not set in stone. It's constantly being updated. I mean, just look at the last few years. 2017, the Train Law changed the rates for individuals to make it fairer. 2021, the Create Law lowered corporate taxes to boost business. And just recently, in 2024, the Ease of Paying Taxes Act is trying to make the whole process simpler for everyone. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this really simple idea. Understanding these rules and actually following them isn't just about avoiding trouble. It's a basic civic duty that literally funds our country's progress. So, yeah, while the rules of the game are a lot clearer now, they will never stop changing. The real question isn't just about knowing the rules today, it's, are you ready for what's coming next? Because staying informed, well, that's the only way you can really win the game. Thanks so much for tuning in.